Many years ago, I used to enjoy NPR and PBS until I noticed their strong political bias to the left. Their stories were consistently one-sided, favorable to the left and critical to the right. That's when I stopped listening. There is an audience for every kind of content, and if people are willing to pay for what they like, good for them. But when a media organization is funded with tax dollars, then it should be unbiased. Here is White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt explaining how NPR engages in one-sided journalism.
CEO of NPR, she's claiming that the cuts to their network will, quote, be a real risk to public safety of the country. Congressman Murkowski has argued that public broadcasting stations save lives. Could you respond to these concerns?
The NPR CEO said cutting NPR will be a risk to public safety. I am not sure how NPR helps the public safety of our country, but I do know that NPR unfortunately has become really just a propaganda voice for the left. Just a few examples for you. In 2020, NPR refused to cover the Hunter Biden laptop scandal in the run-up to the election. They said their assertions don't amount to much, writing they did not want to waste the listeners' and readers' time on stories that are just pure distractions. That does not sound like an unbiased opinion. That sounds like a partisan opinion to me. And this is a taxpayer-funded organization. In 2018, that same CEO that you're talking about called the president in the Oval Office, who nearly 80 million Americans elected, she called him racist, shared a photo of herself wearing a Biden for President campaign hat, serves on the board of a Soros-funded activist group. In 2020, PBS's White House correspondent at the time characterized President Trump's speech then at Mount Rushmore as a love letter to white resentment, promoting the myth of America. In 2017, PBS devoted an entire panel talking about what it means to be woke and white privilege. In 2023, PBS's Washington Week Roundtable covered up Joe Biden's clear mental divide. That's actually quite the clip. I would encourage all of you to look at it. These are not honest news organizations. These are partisan, left-wing outlets that are funded by the taxpayers. And this administration does not believe it's a good use of the taxpayers' time and money.
In this video clip, Representative Brandon Gill explains that NPR absolutely has the right to tell left-leaning stories, but they don't have the right to your tax dollars.
You know, the thing with NPR and PBS is that, to your point, they can say whatever they want. We have a First Amendment right. You can spew all kinds of leftist nonsense if that's what you want to do. You have the First Amendment right to do that. But you don't have a constitutional right to our tax dollars. And that's what we're getting at here. You know, NPR and PBS for a long time have been promoting left-wing propaganda, and Republicans for decades have talked about defunding them and just saying we don't need state-sponsored media in the United States. China and North Korea have state-sponsored media. We don't need that here.
Representative Gill raises an important question. Why should the government be in the business of funding media at all? The private sector is doing a great job covering most of the United States, and today people have access to a wide range of media through the internet and smartphones. If the private sector is thriving in this space, there is no reason for the government to compete or to interfere. Finally, Senator Eric Smith compares NPR and PBS to Pravda, the state-controlled newspaper of the former Soviet Union.
NPR and PBS are not neutral media outlets. They are the closest thing we've ever had in this country to Pravda. They are the arms of the left-wing activist class, taxpayer-funded platforms for political propaganda masquerading as journalism.
NPR and PBS were once trusted institutions. But if you listen to them today, you will quickly realize that they have become a propaganda machine for the left, but they are still bankrolled by the taxpayers. If there is a real market for their content, people will happily donate or advertisers will support them. But if the public doesn't find their programming valuable enough to sustain independently, then taxpayers shouldn't be forced to foot the bill. Let me ask you, have you ever been a listener of NPR or PBS? And if so, have you found it valuable? Or have you found it that are biased or unbiased? Let me know in the comments below. But before you go, please don't forget to sign up for our newsletter at alainguillot.com/newsletter so that you will never miss an episode. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, peace.